I'm 17 years old and I am a senior, so 12 years. So I was definitely an early bloomer. I was 9 when I had my first menstruation period. So it was kind of awkward, but my mom kind of walked me through it and was kind of there to help me through the whole process. So that was pretty good, and like I knew that most of the people or most of the girls around me weren't going through that yet, so it's not like I could really relate to anyone. But other than that, it was pretty good. I think it helped a lot that my mom had talked to me beforehand and explained the whole process beforehand, so then I wasn't like freaking out when it happened. My relationship with my parents now is pretty open. I know that I can talk to them about anything. I tell them things that I wouldn't necessarily tell some of my friends. And it's a pretty open relationship. I'm probably closer to my mom than I am to my dad, mostly because my dad is kind of like the typical man that kind of doesn't like to talk about his emotions and doesn't like to be open, and I'm kind of the same way. I'm kind of closed off. Sometimes my mom kind of has to like poke at me to get me to talk and open up, but it's a pretty good relationship that I have with both of them, and I know that I have their support, and I know that they're there for me with whatever I need. Sometimes I feel like I don't, and then sometimes I feel like I do. So it's like a day-to-day thing. I am someone that knows what I want to do as far as career goes. I know that I want to go into medicine, and I know that I want to, you know, go into forensics at this point in time. That I want to do something that will help people. That, as far as what I identify myself as, I identify myself as Mexican American, which can be kind of weird because you're not completely Mexican, because I wasn't born in Mexico, I was born here in the US. But at the same time, I'm not completely American because my cultural and my historical background is Mexican. So there are two very separate groups in my life as far as socially goes. I have the theater people that I hang out with, and then I have the health academy slash HOSA people that I hang out with. So I do feel like it's kind of a different sort of thing with the health academy and the HOSA people. It's a little bit more professional. It's a little bit more like, okay, this is what needs to get done, and this is how it needs to get done, and that sort of thing. And whereas the theater is kind of more laid back. It's more of a teenagers being teenagers sort of thing. I don't necessarily feel like I have to conform because I feel like I'm accepted pretty well in both places, and it just allows me to show a different side of me when I'm with either group. So I would say that I have a pretty high moral compass. I'm very much like a go by the rules sort of person, and that shows throughout academically and socially. I'm very much like a if you're not supposed to be doing it, why are you doing it sort of person. I don't really believe. I believe that there are exceptions to things, of course, but I'm more of the like, is that really an exception sort of person. Definitely my parents. My mom especially, because they've both kind of shown us how to be respectful towards other people and towards ourselves. For example, my parents don't drink, so it's kind of for my parents. They kind of taught us those values and showed us this is what needs to happen, and this is right, and this is wrong, and why is this right, and why is this wrong, and what you should do.
My name is Esmeralda Gill. I'm 13 and in the 8th grade. I believe I wasn't early or late, but right in the middle. I began blooming when I was 13 years old. It affected me personality-wise and mood-wise, especially how I act around other people. Well, my mind, I know a lot more things now that I went through puberty. Well, I never exactly had a negative view of myself. I wasn't exactly too positive or too negative, but I wasn't insecure. I was okay with how I was. Very well, since I'm an only child. We get along very well. They love me. I love them. They treat me very well. They make sure I get good grades, and we have a really great relationship. Well, I think I already know how I want to be. I think I already know who I am. I already know what I want to do in my life. I wouldn't change any of how I act or who I am. I like my personality, and I think it's very unique. I don't think I'm any part of a clique. If I were to be, I know I would be with the talented, but a lot of people think I'm with the popular group of the school, but I'm not. I just hang out with the people I know I can be true with, and I have no problem holding back with them. Yes, because I don't want to hang out with the wrong crowd. I hang out with everyone who I know is good for me and they know what's good for themselves as well. From my family and from my friends the most because before them I wasn't exactly able to open up all that much. And then once I met the friends I have now, I know that I'll be with them for a very long time. So
My name is Tammy DePass. I'm 39 years old. I had, as I mentioned, I had one day where I skipped school, but other than that, I was pretty much a goody goody, and consequently, my parents trusted me a lot, which I was lucky for. And I was in show choir, which I guess is a weird clique because we traveled around to places and shows. So those were all my friends, and I was also in theater, so those were all my friends. I could definitely looking back now, I could definitely see how hormones affected like how I felt because everything was magnified. Like if I was having a bad day, I was having a really bad day. But if I was having a really good day, it was super good. So I think it was full of really emotional highs and lows, kind of overblown. Now that I'm an adult and past that, everything's kind of leveled off. So I'm seeing that that was maybe hormonal. Probably when I went away to school, and I guess I was 17 when I went away to college just for a month and I turned 18. But when I had to balance my own budget and get myself up and get to class on time and figure out how to spend my free time, then I realized that it was really my joy if it was successful and my fault if it wasn't. So I guess that was it. I was really, really close to my mom, and I'm the only girl in the family, so we kind of bonded over that. But I was kind of afraid of my dad for no reason. Like, it's not like he ever did anything, just like my friends were afraid of their dad, so I was kind of weirdly afraid of my dad and didn't want to tell him things and talk to him, which is horrible now because we're very close now. But I really bonded with my mom more, and she bailed me out of my dark times and and didn't tell my dad. And actually, she kind of trusted me and I trusted her, and we figured it was an isolated incident. So no, I've always pretty much been comfortable with myself. Um, I acknowledged early on that some people are good at some things and other people are good at other things. And it's not my job to be a supermodel. It's my job to build my talents elsewhere, you know? So as long as I'm healthy, I'm okay with it. But I never really worried about the way I looked, I guess, because I knew that I had other strengths. And I didn't really worry about that. Oh, I've felt very independent because my parents gave me the chance to fail. You know, when I moved out to California, I didn't know what I was doing and packed up all my stuff and didn't know anybody out here. And they're like, well, if it doesn't work, you can come back. I'm like, well, okay then. So they kind of enabled me to take chances. And so I would say I was pretty independent from pretty early on, probably college. I would say to follow your own heart and try not to be influenced by people too much. Try to keep good people around you. You know, we all have that one crazy friend that clearly doesn't have the same goals that we do, and that's fine to see them once in a while, but try to surround yourself with people who love you and support you. And that way they'll be there for you if something happens.
So, when it comes to my relationship with my parents, I'd say we have a very close relationship. Um, I know I can trust them and confide in them with pretty much anything. Certain things I know I'd probably go to my friends first, um, but in the end, I know I can trust my parents and tell them just about anything because I know they're the best source. As I get older, I start to see the things that they did that um, will benefit me greatly in my adult life. Um, my dad always gives me a lot of advice with anything when it comes to friends, school. So when it came to my interview with Miss Paz, um, her recollection of her teenage years was that she decided one day of skipping school. She was pretty much a well-behaved uh, kid. Her parents taught her to follow the rules. She was very, go by the book, who you two shoes. Um, when she talked about her developmental years and how they affected her mood-wise, emotionally, um, she said that it was very high and low. One day, one good thing would happen and it would be the best day. The next day, something bad would happen and it would be horrible for the rest of the day. So that I realized a lot of my friends and I, as teenagers, we all go through that. Overall, during this study, I've learned that most teenagers, if not all, go through about the same things when it comes to um, developing our moral standards, where we get it from, puberty, and as well as how we form our identity and how long it usually takes for us to get a clear sense of who we are. It really does depend on your maturity level, I'd say, according to these interviews that I've made. For example, my youngest interviewee, Esmeralda, she was very mature, I think, for her age, in the sense of where she is on her identity and how she feels about herself, how confident and comfortable she is with herself. She showed that she had a very clear sense of who she was, and I think that had most to do with her parents and the friends she chose. When it comes to developing morality, generally the book pretty much tells it how it is. There are a few exceptions, however, when it comes to certain people and how they're influenced by their parents or guardians. Um, we can learn our morals sooner or later than others, depending on certain variables, certain circumstances in our lives. But overall, that our development of morality is